Good evening. This is Erin Laswell with uh, Risks and Returns. Doing this a little early as I'm actually going to be traveling to El Paso this weekend, so hopefully you enjoy it. Uh, Risks and Returns. They're a form of trade off, basically, where we can take a chance at something in hopes in something great in return. It's kind of like a gamble. And it is important to know these things so that we can be able to make educated decisions and take risks at the right time in the right way to ensure a great return. It is also good to know so that we do not take risks in the wrong manner, where we do not get the return that we are needing or wanting. Uh, of course, there are different types of returns, like realized returns and the average annual returns. So basically, one takes it from one time and then one does an average for the entire year or anything like that, or the time frame that you were doing that type of risk. Then there are different types of risks, like your common risk and your independent risk. So, of course, there are some that are going to be more common, so they're going to be kind of like your everyday risks. And then your independent risks are kind of like the big ones, are like, hey, if I take this chance, what kind of return I can get, rather than something that's going to happen every day. These can come into play for decision making due to the fact that a person who is making decisions needs to know the factors of what they are getting into and what the results could possibly be. To find out the information to use that they use is the following: is diversification, variance, and normal distribution. Of course, entry level professionals are ones that don't necessarily really work with the risks and the returns. They do, however, create the data. So basically, any invoicing and billing and payments that they handle on a regular basis goes into that data that looks into what kind of risks and returns can be uh, processed. They are also affected by any risks or returns. So if someone takes a risk and the return is bad, then that entry level professional may or may not have a job later on. The mid level and executive level professionals, of course, are the ones that do deal with this more primarily, as they're the ones that make the decisions. Um, Of course, you have CEOs, managers, financial advisors. All of those are the ones that handle this primarily. And of course, they do the day to day decision making that can affect the company and their employees and anybody involved. And of course, the financial advisor will help them make the decisions on what risks are safest in relative terms, but what yields the best returns and what may be the best for that company. Of course, in that aspect, we then think about what are the ethics of risks and returns. You always have to consider the ethic part of that, because you have to consider the good and the bad parts of the risks and whether or not it's worth taking for that return, because not all of them are going to be worth taking, especially in some people's circumstances. And it's like the Bible says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and you are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, "This person began to build and wasn't able to finish." Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able, with 10,000 men, to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off, and will ask for terms of peace. Thank you for listening, and I hope you liked my presentation, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, and I definitely appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.